Good morning. Thank you for joining us for another Schneider Facebook Live. We're really excited to talk with everyone today. I have Pat Lilia here with me. I'm Erin Kane from Driver Recruiting. I have been with Schneider for almost 11 years, and I'm excited to talk to everyone about pay and all the exciting changes this year that Schneider has. A couple of things we're going to talk about is pay changes, talk about performance pay, annual reviews that we do, market adjustments that we have. We're going to talk about the differences between experienced drivers, the type of work, how long you've been on the road, work configurations. So really exciting, action-packed 30 minutes we're going to have for you today. Pat, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Pat Lilia. I've been with Schneider for over 35 years. The last several years working in driver compensation. It's an interesting field. It's changed a lot over the last 5 years and over the previous 15. So as you folks who've been around for a while and are looking for different opportunities or currently with Schneider, probably have witnessed that. The good news is we have some exciting things to talk about today. There's things that deal with performance pay, which is a change from what we've historically done, and I'll get to that in a minute. Then we have a market review for our van truckload drivers, and then some exciting news about annual increases for our existing drivers on their anniversary date, actually the first of the month following their anniversary, increases that align to that. So I'm kind of excited to be here and make sure that people kind of get a good understanding of what we have to offer and what's in the marketplace.
Again, thank you for joining us. I'm Erin Kane. I'm here with Pat Lilia, and we're here to talk about pay, specifically with Schneider and some things you may hear out there. From a driver recruiting perspective, which is where I come from, we get a lot of questions about pay and trying to help candidates understand what their W-2 is going to look like and how they're going to best profit for themselves and their families. So it's a really important topic. Some things that we have seen recently are a lot of different configurations out in the market on pay. Typically when we talk to a candidate, they may be talking to a couple of other recruiters at the same time. So we want to be very clear about pay and what we have available. So Pat, can you tell us a little bit about the changes in 2018 for drivers?
Absolutely. There's an exciting change in 2018. We're about 5 weeks into it, and drivers seem to be understanding it very well. And I'll just contrast it to what we were doing the previous 5 years around pay for performance, which was a bonus-based lump sum amount that was based on a 100-point scorecard, of which many people were, I'll call it, intimidated by it because it required a percent of attainment and a number of points and had various scales. And to be honest, I felt pretty good about it, and it seemed kind of simple, but I got more math background, and as we evaluated, we're not happy with the percent attainment by our drivers in that bonus program. So we went to task on simplifying it so anybody could figure out what their bonus is going to be, and they could calculate it really on one hand. And that's why we went with the 5-point system. That 5-point system really is about the metrics of safety and a couple other criteria based on the work configuration that they've established, but it really boils down to the decisions drivers make every day. They understand what the metrics are. You can count them, and they're in whole numbers, and by the way, at the end, you'll know exactly how much you're going to get paid in your performance pay. And performance pay, instead of a lump sum bonus, is a rate per mile. And that rate per mile will be paid on every paid mile that you get in addition to your line haul rate.
That's amazing. That's a really big change, and I think it's definitely positive for the drivers out in the market, and specifically Schneider drivers.
Yes.
Can you tell me, is that evaluated how often? Quarterly, right?
Yes. Each quarter there are different targets set. For the folks on MPG, each season, each location is different, and we actually have standards set at a location, work configuration, and tractor spec level, and those will change seasonally. So you get those in advance, you'll understand what they are. There'll be a driver goal. which is aligned to a tractor standard. It's a little bit less and kind of parallels our old program where 85% of attainment was where you started to get points, because we still want drivers to get the bonus. And then as you look at it, there are tiers then. So if you are 0.2 of a mile per gallon less than the tractor standard, but it's your goal. So your goal is really stated as kind of a whole number like 7.2, that you will get a point. And then it kind of tiers itself upwards as you get another 2 or 4.4 of a mile per gallon. You'll get another point, and so on and so forth, up to 3 total points.
I'm gonna say, is the cent per mile capped? Is it capped at a quarter, but not capped in the future? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The cents per mile are based on your quarter's performance, and it is paid out on your miles kind of in the month following that quarter.
Sure.
And so that's kind of how that works. And then each quarter has different sets of goals, and drivers can earn up to 4 cents. And that 4 cents a mile, they kind of get evaluated on each quarter.
Wonderful, wonderful. How about the annual review?
Oh, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The annual review is for all our drivers to get an increase on their anniversary date, and I misstated that. On your anniversary date, the first of the month following your anniversary date, they'll get a penny increase. There are some drivers that are at the top of their pay package rate, but there are very few of those anymore. And so those drivers will get, those drivers that are not at the top will get a penny more. And that will happen every year until they get to the top.
Wonderful. I know that this has been rolled out to our current fleet already.
Yes.
What has the feedback been from drivers on these changes? Because they're pretty significant.
Yes, they've been fairly positive. A lot of folks asking questions about, you know, the driver goal versus the tractor standard, getting understanding about that and where the tiers are. But it's significantly simpler, and that's what I've been told over and over again, than what we did before, which really did require a lot of math. And you could see it in our dashboards, and you can see all these metrics in our dashboards on Compass. But on the old one, you could look at the numbers, but you didn't understand the calculations behind it. Today, because they're listed in whole numbers, when you look at 7.2 miles per gallon, 68 days in a quarter of working, or return to work of 2 or less, you know, so when you look at it, they're whole numbers, drivers understand it, you'll know when things are going positive, and you'll be able to count on it.
So Pat, let's say we have a whole slew of drivers that go ahead and apply with us and start with us, which would be fabulous, of course. When would they be eligible for the incentive pay?
What we look for is 60 days worth of data in the quarter. So folks that start in the first month of the quarter obviously would be able to then have data enough so they would start participating in the next quarter with the payout. But we do want to get at least 60 days worth of information. So if you joined us, let's just say in February or March this year, you'd end up having to wait until the following quarter to get your points kind of assessed at that period of time in order then to earn your performance pay and then the quarter after that.
Well, that's great. You don't have to wait a year of performance to get started. You can get started relatively quickly.
Quickly, yes. And especially if you kind of come in the first quarter of the month. We feel that at least 60 days worth of data is important, because not enough can actually work against a new person, because they won't have that sort of experience and be able to understand everything we're trying to accomplish, and we don't want to make it more complex than it needs to be.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. Dan has some questions in regards to numbers for experienced drivers in regards to pay. I can answer that a little bit. Pat, jump in if I've missed anything. But typically there are multiple work configurations that a driver can be a part of. So we have bulk, we have intermodal, we have van truckload, we have over the road, we have a regional model that keeps you kind of local, and one that can send you everywhere. So from a pay perspective, you'd really need to go to schneiderjobs.com and put in your zip code to see what's available, and or talk to a recruiter. They'll be able to go through with you exactly what is available and what the pay package would look like for that specific role. But that's also an extreme benefit for Schneider. We have the flexibility and ability to put you in a configuration that's going to work well for you and your family and your financial needs. But I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
That's an excellent point, and I hear that a lot from drivers also, is that the advantage of our various work configurations is really an opportunity for folks at some point in their time to be able to find perhaps a position that meets more closely their needs. And so at one point in time, and I was kind of lamenting this not in the recent past, is we used to have one pay package in the 90s, and then as we hit 2000 we had 4. Well, today we have varied work configurations and we have hundreds, and depending on the geography, depending on the work that's being done and the days that people are away from home, it all varies, and we kind of structure the compensation to align to the work that drivers are doing, which I think is important. And then also it allows you a lot of choices.
Pat, I know you and I talked about this a little bit before the event, but there's a lot of companies out there that are offering different pay packages than what we offer, specifically guaranteed pay or hourly pay. What are your thoughts on that with your 35 years with us?
Well, I think as you look at the marketplace and you see a lot of things out there, and then you scratch a little deeper and you ask some questions of folks that might have worked there that have come to work for us, and you find out a little bit more. So some of those rates per mile or those guarantees or those hourly pay, when you look at it, we actually have an hourly pay package that we're working with in California, where we're required to do that. But feedback from drivers that were historically mileage based in that market and in other markets where they've experienced hourly pay, they've talked about the lost opportunity of being able to really get paid for the extra work that they do, because sometimes folks decide, hey, this looks like a good month or 2 months or 3 months where I just want to go out and make as much money as I can. And a mileage-based productivity influence package allows them to do that. And then there are some times where they say, no, I don't want to earn that much, and then I can take more time off, and they can do that too. But that's in the decision of the driver. It's not artificially kind of constrained by the number of hours perhaps in the day of Tuesday or the end of the month or the first of the quarter. Those sorts of things do influence what people are capable of doing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. From a driver recruiting perspective, we have a lot of people that also talk to us about time home daily and trying to get an understanding of that. In my experience in talking to drivers, we warn them about a few things in that configuration. Sometimes they give the W-2 possibility, but then maybe freight is softer or they have more drivers than what they expected and they're only out 2 or 3 days a week. And that's nice that they're home daily, but they're not earning that financial commitment that they were hoping. The other thing that can happen is, which won't happen here in the near future, but they're running pretty hot on their hours, and even though it's time home daily, it might be 3 days a week, but it's 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I just want people to know those time at home daily is one that we get asked about quite frequently, and there are some watch outs there. Make sure you really understand the implications and what their work configuration defines as time at home daily. I did get a message here from Alfredo, and he is asking if the performance pay is also included for intermodal.
Yes, it is. It's across the enterprise. So bulk, intermodal, dedicated, van truckload, dedicated, all the sectors have a 5-point program. So what will vary is some of the metrics. So a local configuration would focus more on how many days did you work over the course of a quarter, whereas a network van truckload is going to focus on, did you come back to work at the time that you said you were going to come back to work? And that's more weighted there. And so as you look at it, MPG is kind of the base because it's an important component of our cost structure, but each work configuration has a little bit of different things that drivers can influence, and we kind of took that, what can drivers make good decisions on, and use that as kind of what those metrics were. And again, all these are in the control of the driver. You know it when you see it, and you're making decisions about it, and we want those decisions to align. We don't expect perfection, so we don't say you have to fuel at all our locations 100% of the time.
Oh.
We don't expect perfection. Not everything's going to allow you to be perfect. So, but what we do expect is people to hit a goal and then improve and try to do better. And so each quarter, as you kind of learn more and more, you do better, and of course, you'll get more returns in the bonus amounts. Excuse me, on the pay for performance amounts. See, I'm still trying to transition to the new vernacular.
Well, anyone that's joined us recently, thank you for joining us. My name is Erin Kane. I'm from Driver Recruiting, and I'm here with Pat Lilia with his 35 years of experience with us in the realm of pay. And we're talking about a lot of the great changes that are happening this year. Pat, I know this answer, and it may be fun for everyone else to know. How long did you work on this transition from the old bonus of last year to the pay for performance this year?
Yeah, we really started that work early summer, and the real goal was we've got a program we're not happy with. Not as many drivers as we would like to earn the bonus because it was challenging, it was complex, it was a lot of moving parts. So we challenged ourselves to figure out how to make it simple. The Van Truckload group actually led the analysis and kind of the project, and then the other lines of business thought it was a pretty good idea. Intermodal, for instance, though, had a lot of those components already, except for the 5-point scale. So when you look at it, we really took the best of what everybody else was doing, collaborated and figured out how we could have kind of a common program for the drivers. And it means less confusion for drivers as they move from one line of business to another line of business, or from one work configuration to another.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move to another topic. Pay for performance is definitely a hot topic, and I'm really excited to see the process and progress with that over the year. Let's talk a little bit about how often is pay evaluated. Is it monthly, weekly, quarterly, annually? I know every line of business is probably a little different, but we look at pay often.
Erin, I can tell you that we meet weekly on driver compensation, whether it's market-based or whether it's understanding our accessorials or what's going on in one region versus another. We spend a lot of time trying to understand in the market where we need to be more competitive, or at least positioned in such a way that we are competitive and can attract and retain our drivers. We spend a lot of time as an enterprise on it, and it's important because our drivers are the lifeblood of the organization.
Yes, Pat and I work together on this, not weekly, but often.
Yep.
Tell me a little about the Van Truckload pay increase that we have coming, or that has started.
Yes. On February 11th, starting Sunday, for all the transactions that our drivers execute in Van Truckload, those Van Truckload network drivers will see an increase in their pay. It varies kind of based on some of the regions and work configurations, so I can't say it's a penny. Some cases it's more than that, and in some cases it's a penny. So it's kind of varies and depends, but that increase is important to keep us competitive in the marketplace. It's one in which we feel pretty good about. It's one that will position us well relative to the market. So we are kind of excited about it, and are thinking it's going to have an impact on bringing more drivers into us and keeping more of our guys.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. If you've just recently joined us, my name is Erin Kane, and I'm here with Pat Lilia and his 35 years experience with Schneider. I'm in driver recruiting. I've been there about 10 years, and we're here to talk about pay. There's a lot of great things happening in 2018 in the realm of pay. We have a pay for performance package. We talked about the annual review, where around their anniversary they'll get a penny increase. We've talked about the Van Truckload pay increase. Can you talk a little bit about per diem?
Oh, sure.
That can be confusing.
Yeah.
And I know we have a really good way to communicate with drivers and have them decide what they want to do and what's best for them.
Yeah. Well, Erin, the whole per diem excitement and conversation really started with the tax changes that were in mid to late December. And even those, as we went into the first of the year, weren't clearly understood. And for our drivers and for drivers in general, what happened with the deductions that were allowed, that were doubled, is they eliminated the deductions you can take for per diem as a truck driver, which are special for meals and expenses. And those deductions on an individual basis have been eliminated. The deductions from a company perspective, we can, on our mileage packages, we have a program that we know how to kind of be able to create a non-taxable earnings for the drivers, which would be the equivalent to a per diem, and a mileage rate. And so it mixes those things together, which for the driver can have significant impacts by the end of the year. So if you think about taxable income, I had an example. I worked with a driver the other day, and I'm not an expert. I'm not a tax person. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. So,
there's your disclosure.
But I can do math. And essentially, the taxable income at the end of the year for this one driver was $51,000, and he had no deductions other than the standard deduction. And then if he took the per diem program for that account, which was mileage-based and qualified, then his taxable income became in the high $20,000. Well, if you think about then the taxes you pay, that's significantly less. And so it was, it's like about $4,000 difference to his advantage. And if you look at it, unfortunately, he couldn't take that same advantage that he had in the past years of doing his own per diem. But that transition now to our per diem program is going to at least benefit him and kind of offset the difference that he was having before.
I see. I know from an orientation perspective, they go through that with you during training and orientation. You have an option to opt in and out at any time, and there is a small video and a PowerPoint presentation they go over with you because it is important, and when we recognize that it's important and we want you to make the best decision that's right for you, because you're only going to know what's going to be best for your family and your situation. So thank you for that.
Yes, and just recognize again, we by default in a mileage package where it's eligible, default you in, but all you need to do is simply say, I don't want to be part of it, fill out a form, and then you can be out of it. As well as if you want to enlist in it and you aren't currently operating in it and the package is available, then just go ahead and request a form, and it's that easy. We can change it in any time.
It's like changing your W-4. It's just that
exactly.
That easy. Joseph has a question about, he would like to come intermodal and has some questions about the rates. I suggest you go to SchneiderJobs.com and definitely talk to a recruiter. They can help talk you through all of the pay, not just the rate per mile, because sometimes that is lower, and when you add in all the accessorials and the bonus and the pay increases throughout the year, it might get you where you need to go. So I suggest you give us a call at 44-PRIDE, 1-800-44-PRIDE, and we can help you with that and talk through what your best options are from an intermodal perspective, or really any position. This one was specific to intermodal. Again, anybody that's interested, please go to SchneiderJobs.com. There's a ton of information out there. There's blogs, there's white papers, there's all kinds of information about our company and things that are hot in the industry, including ELD mandating and all of those things. So please go to SchneiderJobs.com. You can type in your zip code and find out the jobs that are available to you, or absolutely give us a call, 1-800-44-PRIDE. Darian has a question about if we have a CDL training program. We have a lot of different ways to help people get their CDL. Again, I would say go to Schneider Jobs and you can see our options. We also have recruiters that can talk to you about what option is best for you. We have tuition reimbursement, we have a paid CDL program, we have veterans that use their GI Bill benefits. We know in some areas that they have grants that can help you pay for your CDL school. So there's a ton of options. Our recruiters are the best in the business at helping you figure out what's going to work for you. So again, I would say give us a call, 1-800-44-PRIDE, go to SchneiderJobs.com and see what is out there and available. So we're here to help you and just find a way to help you be most successful. So if you're just joining us, we're just about out of time, but thank you very much for joining us. I am here with Pat Lilia. My name is Erin Kane, and we're here to talk about pay. and some of the exciting things that we have going on in 2018. We talked a little bit about pay for performance, which in a nutshell gets you an increase in your line haul versus a bonus type scenario, which has its own implications. So that work has been going on for 6 or 7 months to make that transformation, and it's already started. We have an annual review where it gives you a penny increase on or about your anniversary. And we have a van truckload pay increase that's happening now for drivers. So there's a lot of things going on from a pay perspective. We also talked a little bit about per diem. We talked about work configurations and how important that is, because depending on your experience and where you live and what you want to do, there's all kinds of options for drivers out there. Have I missed anything?
No, I know that the other item that we're remaining competitive with in the marketplace is with sign-on bonuses. So make sure as you go to SchneiderJobs.com, you take a look at the bonuses. I know that teams and experienced drivers and even inexperienced drivers, there are bonuses out there that are pretty exciting and competitive in the market. And again, we believe in being competitive, whether it's a line haul rate, accessorials, or sign-on bonuses.
Perfect. We did get a question from Conrad. Thank you for joining us, Conrad. You asked if you're a regional driver, if you want to stay out longer, is that okay? Typically, we're pretty flexible with that. We have folks that need to be at drill if they're veterans. We have people that have personal reasons that they need to be home. Work with your DBL, and they absolutely will work with you on your needs, depending on the market and the job and the expectations. Typically they'll find a way to work with you. So definitely talk with someone about that, and we can help you too. If you aren't a current driver, give us a call and we can talk through that with you and work with operations to see if that's something that'll work for them as well. So that was a really good question. We're driver friendly, and we do have customers that we need to service, but as Pat alluded to, we would be nothing without the driver. So it's very, very important that we have a good relationship and understanding with our drivers and help them be most successful. So thank you very much for that question. All right, my name is Erin Kane from Driver Recruiting, and I'm here with Pat Lilia, and we have been talking about mostly pay. Please go to SchneiderJobs.com. You can put in your zip code and find out what jobs are available out there for you. There's usually pages of them. We have a lot of work configurations and options for our drivers. Something that we do get questions on is if you're a new driver, how long do you have to be in that role? Typically we ask 6 months. 6 months, get a feel for what you're doing, understand the business, learn how to be a Schneider driver, learn what it means to be out there and safe on the road. Pat had talked about safety as one of those pay for performance metrics, and safety is our #1 core value, so we do take that very seriously. But within 6 months, if you see something out there that you're interested in and is available, operations teams work with each other to make that happen. So our time is just about up. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd just ask that you like and share and comment on our page. If we didn't get to your questions during this hour, we definitely will get to them throughout the day. But feel free to give us a call at any point in time, 1-800-44-PRIDE, and we can talk with you about your options, about pay, about accessorials, about per diem, about pay for performance, about our van truckload increase. We have so much to talk about and so many good things. Please give us a call and we'll talk through that with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.